Hello, everyone. I'm Engineer محمد, founder and chairman of Egypt a Dream Foundation. We are honored to see you today. Today we are talking beyond mitigation and adaptation. We are having a different ideas that to restore our climate back again. Our ancestors, pharaohs, left us science for millennia, and we want to leave our grandchildren's climate for millennia. So we came today to discuss the crisis, not only to discuss it, but to recover and solve this problem. The current or the past all talk about mitigation and adaptation, which is a passive reaction to the problem. Now we are talking about controlling and solving the problem. Our ancestor left us a technology called MAT, which is a climate balance. So we will have it today. We give some ideas and projects to green generation. And also we have the technology for sucking greenhouse effect gases and release it into the atmosphere. This technology is like the human. It breathes, the human takes CO2 in and out. So using this technology, we reduce the travel to outer space to put these satellites by 77%. This is we have 11 projects to solve or to recover our climate. Also, we have the cooling of the surface of the Earth. So we will see a short video talk about our vision and our technology.
All right, let's jump right into it. Today, we're unpacking an absolutely massive blueprint that recently came out of the UN Climate Change Conference in Bonn. You know, for decades now, the global conversation around climate change has kind of been stuck on this one singular idea, basically managing our own decline. We talk a lot about mitigating disasters, adapting to a hotter world, just surviving the crisis, really. But the Egypt Dream Foundation for Development and Innovation, or EDFDI for short, is proposing that we completely flip that script. What if, instead of just adapting to a broken planet, we actually engineered a full-scale restoration of it? Outlined by engineer Mohammed Hagab at the conference, this really comprehensive catalog champions something they call technological sovereignty. So instead of getting bogged down in endless diplomatic negotiations, EDFDI is arguing for real, actionable, sovereign, deep technology. It's a fundamental shift from just talking about the climate to rolling up our sleeves and actively engineering our global climate future. So the whole core of their presentation centered on this incredibly bold declaration. They literally said they didn't come to discuss the crisis. They came to lead the recovery. And this whole initiative draws some really deep inspiration from the pharaonic legacy of Ma'at. If you're not familiar, in ancient Egyptian philosophy, Ma'at represents absolute cosmic balance and environmental justice. It was this sustainable science that kept things thriving for thousands of years. But what's fascinating here is that according to their presentation, this isn't just some nice poetic metaphor for them. It's the actual operational philosophy driving their entire agenda. The speakers made it crystal clear that they aren't here to offer empty promises. What they brought is a hard investment in engineering catalog. It's all about taking that historical concept of balance and translating it into physical execution using heavy, modern technological infrastructure. Now, you might be wondering, is anyone actually taking this seriously? Well, yes. The international community is actively evaluating these ideas right now. In fact, EDFDI's sovereign proposal has successfully passed some incredibly rigorous UN evaluations. They've been officially shortlisted, and they are one of only 6 international proposals to achieve this, to host and manage the permanent headquarters of the UN Climate Technology Center, or the CTC, for the 2027 to 2041 period. So look, this isn't just speculative theory we're talking about. It's a real structural proposal currently under global review. Making it onto that shortlist really highlights a growing international appetite for solutions that bypass all that traditional climate bureaucracy. It definitely positions EDFDI's vision as a major talking point in this new era of climate strategy. Okay, so how do they actually plan to pull this off? To execute this vision, EDFDI has designed what they call their Climate Action Arsenal. It's basically a portfolio of 11 deep tech, interconnected projects that are specifically meant to shatter those traditional bureaucratic roadblocks that always seem to stall climate action. And perhaps the most brilliant, or at least the most critical mechanism in all of this is their concept of closed ecosystem financing. This means these projects aren't just isolated little experiments that constantly need new donor money to survive. Instead, they're engineered to work together as a unified ecosystem. The byproducts and the revenues from one project directly pay for the operations of the next one. It's intended to be this entirely self-sustaining loop of planetary engineering. Let's dive into their flagship concept, which they call the Integrated Triplanetary System. This is proposed as a massive, closed engineering loop that operates through 3 highly coordinated arms. First step is spacelight, which leverages space-based solar power. We're talking giant orbital stations generating clean, baseload energy 24/7 and then transmitting it wirelessly right back down to Earth. Then you have the artery. Think of this as kind of a vertical Panama Canal. It's a proposed logistics elevator using floating helium airship platforms to cheaply and safely haul equipment up into orbit, which completely bypasses the massive pollution and crazy costs of standard rocket launches. And finally, floating right up in our atmosphere, we have the planet's lungs. These are fleets of helium airships using deep cryogenic separation technology, chilling the air down to minus 80 degrees Celsius. The goal here is to literally suck greenhouse gases right out of the sky. Those gases are then transported via the artery to either be stored or used as future propellant. And here's the kicker. The carbon credits they sell from purifying the atmosphere are designed to generate the exact funds needed to build the artery in the first place. It's a totally integrated, self-funding loop. Bringing things back down to Earth for a minute, the strategy continues with some really aggressive geoengineering via their global surface cooling project. The idea here is to direct seawater or excess freshwater through engineered canals into dry, massive desert basins, places like the Katara Depression. The resulting artificial lakes are basically meant to act as giant natural air conditioners. The high evaporation rates are projected to lower regional temperatures, form clouds, and modify local microclimates, which paves the way for massive, large-scale tree planting. And perfectly complementing that is what they call the Fertility Project. You see, nutrient-rich silt naturally builds up behind major dams, and it actually clogs up their turbines. EDFDI proposes using advanced dredgers to move this river wealth and use it to reclaim the desert lands around those new artificial lakes we just talked about. But how do you pay for moving mountains of mud? Well, they plan to integrate extraction units that pull gold and precious metals directly out of that transported silt. So it's designed from the ground up as a dual environmental and economic powerhouse. Now, zooming into the community level, this zero-waste approach is modeled in the water energy food nexus, specifically designed for Port Said and Sinai in Egypt. The ambition here is to create a true circular economy reclaiming 50,000 acres using treated wastewater. The plan is to take this reclaimed salty land and grow energy crops, like sugar beets. From the biological waste of those crops, they extract biogas. That biofuel is then pumped straight into combined heat and power microturbines, which run water desalination plants, which, you guessed it, provide the fresh water to grow the crops in the first place. Water, food, and energy security are all theoretically locked down in one tightly closed loop. It takes this really abstract concept of a circular economy and applies it at an absolute massive scale. Of course, to manage all this heavy physical infrastructure, EDFDI outlines a very specific framework for digital sovereignty. It starts with the UGA-ICS, the Unified Global AI Climate Server. Think of it as an AI planetary brain designed to crowdsource innovation and crunch incredibly complex climate data. This pairs directly with a unified carbon footprint platform. Instead of waiting months for complex consulting evaluations, this system uses pre-calculated material standards. So say you install a field of solar panels, the platform instantly generates your documented carbon credits. Boom, done. On the international policy side, the blueprint proposes unified global projects. The goal here is to consolidate resources, directing trillions of dollars into single, massive climate challenges, rather than fragmenting everyone's efforts. And to fuel that, they're proposing climate finance points. These would be sovereign, decentralized offices under UN supervision that bypass slow, traditional banking systems entirely, fast-tracking money directly to field projects in a matter of weeks. Ultimately, the core message running through this entire proposal comes down to one thing: engineering the future. The EDFDI blueprint makes a really compelling case that achieving that ancient balance of mod in our modern world requires aggressive, sovereign technological innovation. It argues that humanity's goals shouldn't just be to shrink our carbon footprint until we effectively disappear, but rather to step up and act as proactive planetary engineers. When you really step back and look at the immense scale of what EDFDI is proposing here, from space-based solar power and atmospheric airships down to zero-waste regional economies, it leaves us with a pretty provocative question.
Are we ready to stop merely adapting to a broken world and actually start pursuing a legacy of absolute planetary restoration? Something to think about, right? Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and I will catch you in the next one.
Okay, so as we see in the presentation, we are shifting the idea that climate change project is expensive thing to that it's something that we can invest to recover our climate back. We are changing the philosophy from adaptation and mitigation to restore our climate back through a living project and different idea to save our kids, to save ourselves to new future. Climate change investment projects are new idea that can penetrate through the current system, which everyone is fragmented into different projects. We are focusing on making unified world project. If all the world are agreed to do only one project each year and unify the system and using climate change money points, which is connected to prime minister in each country and connected to the United Nations, and already the projects had its permissions and its carbon credit, so everyone can go to this money point and say that I have a land, so I can plant 1,000 trees. When he finish his 1,000 trees, so he have his X calculated carbon credit, he can put his photovoltaic cell on this area. So the project will be done more faster, more accurate, and we will solve one problem. The technology people will have paid using this system. All one will be cooperating to win-win situation, not blaming each other. So we have different projects to solve all the problem facing the world for this problem. So we are happy to be with you today, and we are ready to answer any question. Okay.
I thought it was really interesting how you incorporate your ancestral knowledge, if I get it right, from Egyptian culture, which is like really cool. I just want to ask, how did you make the decision of having a voice over from AI to do the presentation instead of you?
Again?
Yeah.
Again, the question again, sorry, the last thing.
Yeah. So I just want to know. So I love it. I just want to understand how was the decision process to come out with the idea of having AI doing the voiceover for your presentation, as opposed to doing it yourself.
It is the new era of everything. AI is. I teach, by the way, AI for free in Egypt to as my foundation support the people. So it's much easier to make the presentation using AI, and I'm ready for the questions. So it was a nice thing, I think.
Yeah, I think it's really creative and it's very innovative. I guess it sort of like takes away the human element, which is still very important to create that connection of someone explaining the actual idea. But no, cool experimentation. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Question?
Hello, I'm Lisa. I come from China. It's very interesting, the presentation about the AI. And also, I know the COP27 in Egypt. You know, could you a little bit explain do you started this program since COP27, and how long you progress this program?
Yes, our first to climate change, yes, was in COP27. We started this, and we are keeping on. But our studies is till 1996.
Oh,
okay, for space-based solar power, it was since that time, and we started our community works since 2011, and my foundation have gathered over 1,000 consultants in different branches. So we use our legacy, or our slogan is together we struggle climate change, poverty, and ignorance with science. So believe this is the fastest and easiest way to make us like a model to different countries to how to solve this problem.
Okay, one more question. Is this you mentioned the foundation? Is it supported by the Egypt government, or it's from the society?
No. We
or
are all
company?
volunteers, and we are self-funding each other.
Oh wow.
We want to make something good for the community, for the world, for the people. So we give this idea, and all of us as scientists and volunteers, different ages, different mindsets.
And this project is free to all the people around the world, or it will be maybe some like a...
This is our ideas. We are happy to do it everywhere they want to do it.
Okay, thank you. It's an
Okay.
awesome project.
Thank you. Okay, anyone else? Yes.
Firstly, I would like to thank you for your participation and your coming to the event and your valid question as well. We are open to discuss any future projects between Egypt and other UN members to other countries. And we also exchange the ideas to projects. For example, if any country such as with Germany, with China, Japan, which of the UN members, we sit down together behind the Egypt NGO, the Egyptian Dream Foundation, under the supervision and the directory of Mr. Mohammed Haggag. We discuss the ideas, what the progress in climate change projects in Egypt, and we study it as benchmarking, and then what we can brought from other country. For example, for your country, from China, we have several projects interested in agriculture, in manufacture, in development. Then we see what you can export or benchmark from China to be developed in Egypt. Then from Egypt, China can transfer even for Egyptian market or for African or Arab market. Vice versa, in Egypt, we see what is value. Egypt export more than 700 products for all over the world. Some world's regions have gaps in some products, like food products, which affected or reduced climate change. So in Egypt, we see which of these countries have gap, for example, in food supply chain. Then we grow up the products in Egypt under the international specification. Then we do like assessment for the food supply chain gap, for example, and then we grow up it under, for example, a Chinese specification. Then we send for China. Vice versa, China can export us, for example, some of narrow organic fertilizers, like irrigation machines, like sun power, or what kind of biofuels for these projects. So we also adapted for climate change projects. We focus, we start with a simple project, then we expand the idea to be like counter-current business operation or trade exchange for projects in climate change. Thank you for your interesting, and we're happy for attending this media conference with you. Any other question?
Okay, thank you, everyone. That's it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.